Mikey Williams is one of the most famous high school basketball prospects in recent memory. Williams is only a 16-year-old sophomore, but he's already up to 2.6 million Instagram followers and has garnered national attention thanks to his outstanding athleticism. He is considered a consensus 5-star recruit and was ranked as the third best player in the 2023 class. There is certainly a lot of hype surrounding Williams, as well as a lot of pressure. But of course, like every other player, he isn't perfect. But it seems as due to the fact that he has a very flashy game and is, alongside former teammate Bronny James, the most recognizable prospect from his class, fans act like there are no flaws in his game. As we have said, nobody is perfect, but Mikey's flaws are so particular that if they are not properly addressed, there is a chance he will not survive in the NBA. That is, if he even makes it into the NBA. Today, we will look at Mikey Williams' biggest flaws and what he can do to fix them. But before we do, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Now, just before we dive right into the analysis of Mikey Williams' flaws, quick disclaimer, this isn't some sort of hate video. Mikey is an extremely talented player with immense potential. He wouldn't be ranked as the third best player in the nation if he weren't special. This will be an objective and unbiased look at Mikey's game and what his biggest areas of improvements are. We all want him to succeed and crush it. With all of this said, the first thing that could work against Mikey Williams in the future is his height. This is a physical observation rather than an actual area of his game that he can improve in. But in today's modern NBA, physicals are just as important as talent and skills. Williams is a freak of an athlete for a 16-year-old kid. There's no doubt about it. As a sophomore, he currently stands around 6'2" to 6'3". That's not bad height for a high school player, but if he doesn't grow at least another 2 or 3 inches, he may really struggle in the NBA. And before the comment section gets lit up with comments like Allen Iverson was 6 feet and won an MVP, so height isn't a problem, you will see why height actually is a problem as we look into his other flaws. Moving into actual areas of his game, Williams really needs to work on his shot selection. Let's start by saying Mikey is a ridiculously gifted scorer and is proven capable of putting the ball through the hoop from virtually anywhere. His freakish athleticism helps him to dominate the interior with either highlight reel dunks or smooth finishes through contact. Williams is a strong enough player to go at the tallest high school defenders and still make tough shots. And even though he doesn't have the so-called Curry range, Mikey can for sure make some jumpers if you give him space. Given how good he is, Williams has developed a tendency of taking some rather questionable and inefficient shots. He's prone to taking long twos and even some off-balance fadeaways from behind the three-point arc. Again, Mikey isn't necessarily a bad shooter, but you would think that given how good he is as a slasher, he would look to take the ball closer to the rim rather than trying to make difficult jumpers. His, at times, very bad shot selection ties in with his next flaw. One of the biggest reasons Mikey sometimes settles for such inefficient looks is his lack of playmaking skills. It seems like many of today's top young guards come equipped with elite court vision that always allows them to be a step ahead of their opponents. This isn't the case with Williams, whose playmaking skills are average at best. Throughout his short high school basketball career, Mikey has been subpar at creating scoring opportunities for other teammates, considering how often he has the ball in his hands. His lack of ability to hit teammates on good looks and setting them up when opponents focus heavily on him is one of the reasons why Williams is sometimes forced into bad shots. There is pressure on him to deliver, and more often than not, he tries to take matters into his own hands by creating most of his offense by himself. But right now, he literally doesn't know any better. He isn't a ball hog, he just hasn't developed into a good playmaker. It's not hard to understand why this is one of the biggest holes in his game, as when you're as good of a scorer as Mikey is, all you focus on doing is scoring and scoring and scoring. But as he looks to transition into the next level, he needs to work on his playmaking to at least be comparable to the average guards in the league. The problem gets even bigger when you consider the height factor we discussed earlier, as if Williams doesn't grow any taller than 6'3", he will be forced to play the point guard position. Right now, this isn't really a problem given he can dominate high school competition with ease. But once he makes it to the NBA and faces the Klay Thompsons and the Jimmy Butlers and the Avery Bradleys in the league, good defenders will find him heavily predictable, and his lack of skills to make plays for others will make him borderline unplayable. Speaking about defense, that's another one of the big flaws of his game. At this point, it isn't so much the fact that he's a bad defender. What's so concerning is that watching game film, you will often catch him not even trying on defense or even cherry-picking at times. Defense at the high school level is more about effort than it is about actual fundamentals and positioning. That's not a pass Williams will get in the NBA. It takes more than effort to hang with the best offensive players in the game, so watching Mikey be so disengaged in the defensive end of the court doesn't project well into the next level. How must his teammates feel when they watch their leader and star player barely try on defense? Again, this is all understandable due to the level he currently plays in. But probably the saddest part about this is Mikey actually has the body and physical tools to be an outstanding defender at his level. And here is where the height and physicals dilemma comes in once again. Because even if we assume Williams starts becoming engaged on defense and actually puts the effort in, that will only help him so much if he doesn't grow a couple of inches. There are only a handful of successful shorter defenders in the league, with Chris Paul being the most recognizable. There's a very thin line with Williams between following the path of either Ja Morant or Dennis Smith Jr. There's a big difference between being a good athlete that takes bad shots, doesn't spot teammates on open looks, and plays no defense, or being a good athlete that can create for himself and his teammates, as well as play good team defense. The first type of player only gets a couple of shots in the NBA before being done, while the second type will always have a spot in the league, even as a role player. And this isn't to say Mikey will end up being a role player. We're simply painting the scenarios of what can happen if these couple of flaws are not addressed. The height aspect may not be entirely up to him, as we're yet to see if he grows enough, because we've already seen multiple high school sensations that don't even make the NBA. We've seen a handful of others that can only hang around for a couple of seasons. The biggest thing for him is developing a game as complete as possible, so he's a fully equipped combo guard that can play both the point and shooting guard positions. Because as he stands right now, undersized shooting guards who can't make plays and struggle on defense don't do too well. Mikey Williams has a chance to be great. All he needs to do is continue working on his game, or else he won't survive in the NBA. What do you think is the biggest flaw in Mikey Williams' game? Will he make it to the league and survive for long? Tell us in the comments down below. And once again, make sure to leave a like on this video and hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching another Swiss Central video, and join us next time for more NBA basketball content.